I see Carlo, I see Travis. Obviously, we have Russell and we have Paul. Do we have Mike Rogers back yet? Yep, there's Mike Rogers. All right, I think we can probably get going. Quick introduction. Carlo and Travis are inspectors, and you may have seen some of them already previously today, which is great. The sessions, the inspector-led sessions today have been phenomenal. They have really been the ones that have got us the most feedback today. And we really, really appreciate the inspectors being on. We also have Mike Rogers, who many of you have seen in several sessions today, our head of product. We have Paul McIntyre, our general manager. And by special request, we have Russell Buchanan, who many of you will remember fondly as one of the co-founders of HomeGauge. Russell, let's start off with you. I think people would like to know, first of all, what's new? What are you up to?
Like to know what? I couldn't hear you well.
Like to know what's up. How are you? What are you up to these days? Oh, you just went on mute.
Since I sold HomeGauge, you know, I've been traveling around the world and tropical Caribbean locations. No, really. Just been working around the house and, you know, still staying in touch with HomeGauge and seeing how things are progressing, which is really nice. And couldn't be more excited for my old little baby that's all grown up now, and how this has grown, you know, tremendously. So I'm
Not
excited.
many people, Russell, who can say like you and Sean can that you built a company that's still around 20 years and is doing better than ever. It's a really great achievement, and none of us would be here if you hadn't have done this.
Well, thank you. I do say that to myself a lot of times.
Is that your morning mantra?
No, but I'll just reach out and see Carlos Vitale. How you doing, Carlos? Haven't seen you in a while. Miss all these trade shows, and of course we all do, right? So maybe this crazy, we know, pandemic thing goes away, and we can all get back to bumping elbows and telling war stories at the next trade show. But
I wonder if the next time we do all get together, it really will just be elbows instead of handshakes.
Yeah, no, yeah, right. Maybe we'll be hugging then. So yeah, I agree.
Russell, a question we often get asked is what happened right at the beginning? You and Sean had some crazy idea. You got together. You decided to do this thing. Like, where did this?
Well, you know, I happen to have. I don't know if I'm going to put it up for auction one day on eBay or something, but you know, I know a lot of you HomeGaugers are probably eating your heart out right now at this this report I made, probably 1996 maybe. It was an NCR form. I thought I'd dig it out of the nostalgia closet. So I don't know if you can see a little bit of resemblance there, maybe not. Anyway, and then I actually, you can see the difference as the evolution occurred. Oh my God, I got a new image now, and then I was able to put pictures like you know, little icon clips on there, like a little gutter downspout. Yeah, so you know, I always enjoy telling the story. I was a successful home inspector here in Asheville, North Carolina, and realtors loved me. I was as busy as I could be. And, you know, but one thing realtors would say is, Russell, we love you, but we just can't read your handwriting. And they couldn't. I have to tell you, it was the worst handwriting. I've always been plagued with handwriting. I remember doing inspections on this NCR form, and people would say, you know, you should have been a doctor or something, you know, can't really, you know. And so I tried to learn how to write neatly, and, you know, it just wouldn't work. And I did a home inspection. I was looking for a programmer, and I'll tell you what, how the universe works real quick. Y'all gonna say, God, I wish, when can we cut Russell off? But on a Friday, I had made my mind up here in Asheville that I was going to drive as soon as I got through with the inspections on doing it this way. I was going to drive 2 hours to Charlotte just to go to a payphone and pull the yellow pages out of the payphone under programmers and drive back. And that kind of shows you how long ago it was, a little bit before AOL. And so I drove back on that Friday night. And so I had it in my mind that come that next week, I'm going to start going down the list and calling programmers just to see if they could put this on a laptop so I could use my 2 fingers and type up the report. And so that Monday morning, that very next Monday morning, I did a home inspection for what was to be my business partner, Sean Moore. And so I asked him, like I do most buyers, small talk and, what do you do for a living? And he said, I'm a programmer. And I said, hey, and I gave him a little short story. And I said, are you any good? And he always gives me hell about that, but he goes, well, my company, brought me here. And so anyway, I started paying him just to do something for me. And he had some great ideas. And next thing I know, I was talking to my wife, like, if I could make him my partner, I wouldn't have to pay him anymore. And maybe we could sell it. And so that's exactly how we started. We met to have a meeting, and he was already thinking about it at the time. And so we both had the same thought. And it took a couple of years. Just to get things really ready. It was about almost a 2-year build, but Sean had the idea about stored auto comments. Of course, I had to put them all in. I'm sure a lot of you home inspectors go back and see some of those perfect grammar word choice comments. Hey, they work great here in Asheville, North Carolina. I'd get some of you guys up north go, man, I love your software, but I changed your auto comments. And then I'd get some guys around here, they go, man, I use them word for word. They just work so good. So so it just started out. We built it from the ground up, and we actually borrowed some money from his mom to put in the account. And then we all just kept chipping in, and things finally, started growing. And, but really I contribute a lot of the success of HomeGauge, the report and how it works to the home inspectors. Because since I was a home inspector, I had a good start with it. I'll take credit for a little bit of the framework and a few of the things, but a lot of the cool functions that HomeGauge has is it could have been somebody like Carlos that said, Russell, I wish when, we could make it do this or make it do that. And then I'd look over at Sean and he would, we would start putting them in. So that's really the beginning of how HomeGauge took off. And at some point it got so busy that I had to make a decision with my local home inspection company. And rather than try to sell it, I actually called a meeting with all my competitors, which was a little odd back then because everybody had their shield up. And I said, look, guys, I'm going to sell the software. So whoever wants to buy my software, I'll start recommending my realtors to you. And I had 2 or 3, and then next 5 or 6. And we really started building it in Nashville. And then it literally just grew from there. But to give you one more little thing, how cool, how far back it was, one of the most, I laugh today if I can think about it clearly. When we started in the trade shows, in the beginning, we would just be able to literally put our pictures in the report in the truck. And I had a printer in the back of my truck and a rolled up towel to make the printer lay level, and an inverter, and I had a big long arm stapler, and I'd print out 2 copies and staple it and get out. And the realtors just couldn't believe it. Look, a picture right there's the gutter, and look right here it is. And then later Sean said, hey, come here, I want to show you something. And you could literally just touch the picture on the tablet and an arrow would appear. Oh my God, we went to the trade show with that thing, and I had crowds around us, and hey, and they would say, come here, look. And okay, Russell, put that, show us. And you just touch the screen. Oh my gosh, an arrow would appear. So that was pretty easy stuff back then to satisfy. It kind of changed over the years. I need more than an arrow, So, but it was great. growing HomeGauge through all of the trials and tribulations was a wonderful experience. And, you know, I miss a lot of it, but, you know, it is good to look back and just see, once you get more professional teams and the scope of programmers that you guys have nowadays, and the looks, and it's just great. But not to take anything away from my original crew, Mike McHugh was and is my greatest graphic artist, and he would do things to make the report look better than anything out there. And I could go through a list. Susie's been with us for years, and we all love Shancy, and we think of her and miss her. I know she's here in spirit today, because I know if she was still with us, she'd be, one of her faces would be on here right now. So
oh my God, she would have insisted on posting the awkward question to you.
Oh yeah, she'd have probably called me Mr. Buchanan. Are you here? You know, but yeah.
Would one of the team just put the link to Shancy's memorial page, please, in the chat? The donation page for her family is still up. Yeah, Russell, she would be hitting you with the stories. I did ask around the office for 4 stories that you may or may not remember from your early days, and you know, those of us that build businesses, we know the hustle, right? What you got to do. The one that kept coming up was a certain trip to Housemaster.
Yeah. So, you know, in the beginning, we were probably, I'll add even a better one on there. It was right in that same time period. So we're getting some inspectors in different parts of the states. And, you know, back then when we get like one inspector in a state, I think Carlos goes way back many years with us. I don't know if he was our first one. I think New Jersey, is that where you're from, Carlos? Yeah. And but anyway, you know, it was, oh my gosh, I almost need a map of the United States so I could take a push pin and put on there. But we had a call from one of the companies. Both companies still use HomeGauge, NACA, Neighborhood Assistance Corporation of America, and they flew us up, and we had a talk with them, worked out a deal, which was interesting. If Sean was on right now, I would joke it with him, because he was drinking green tea. They had some other programmer that was giving them green tea, and we had a meeting all day. We was trying to get them to adopt our software with our program, which they did eventually. But it was funny. He got sick, and we was outside. But that I'll have to speed the story up. But yeah, so then we had Housemaster call us, and Housemaster said, you know, it's between. We're going with software. We've looked at yours already. We looked at 2 other companies, and at the time they were our #1 competitors, as close as that could actually be. But so when we had to meet in a hotel room, and I swear they had to turn the plane around in the air, fly us back to Georgia, because the some little luggage compartment wouldn't stay shut. And then we had to get another plane and fly back to where we were going, to the Housemaster, to that meeting. They had their panel there, their you know, research committee or whatever. We were already, I can't remember how late we were, but I had plans to get to the hotel, take a shower, and put on my nice little HomeGauge shirt and all that. And I mean, they were sort of ill, I guess, because, you know, we were telling them, you know, it's not our fault, we're on our way. And so we literally just came straight in with our luggage right into their very closed room. And I mean, I'm already stressed out, sweating like crazy through the pressure of just trying to get there and all. And I just opened up my suitcase and said, I'll be with y'all in a minute. And I took my shirt off, which I know I looked a lot better back then than I do today, but not much. But and then you know, I put on my HomeGauge shirt right there in front of them, and did my little pitch, you know, and it must have worked.
Every panelist now is going to have to tell a story about having to get changed in public. Just everyone get their stories ready. Russell, it's great to see you again on here. Thanks. I'm going to come back to you again. Sure. A little bit later on when we talk about the future stuff. We do have our inspector guests on here, and we've got a bunch of questions that have been submitted, so we're going to get some of those in a moment. We're also getting a lot of questions for Mike Rogers about the kind of big higher level stuff, and some for Paul along kind of a similar nature. So I'm just going to tick off a couple of those first. Mike, I suppose the biggest question, if I paraphrase a few, is, where do we see things going for HomeGauge, the software, etc.?
Sure. Yeah. I think in short, it's faster, smarter, simpler. I would say, and it's a bit cliche, but everyone's like, hey, the world's going mobile. It's already gone mobile. I think it's already here. People expect that things work the same across devices. They expect that everything's seamless, everything's synchronized behind the scenes. They can work and they can collaborate together. That's really like the foundations of what we're building with WebWriter. We're going to be doing some smarter things as well. You're already seeing, we see build facts is really popular. Build facts as a mechanism, I don't think is the smart thing. I think the information and the data is really important. So we're really going to be trying to embed some of those things, make it easier for inspectors to focus on the important things and have the tool kind of slip into the background, really give them insights into, hey, this area could be a risk, this area might not be, really get a lot smarter with the app. So hope that helps. Oh, you're on mute, Dax.
Good grief. What role, therefore, do you see desktop playing in our future?
Definitely. I think desktop, it's the foundation of HomeGauge. That's what started everything. It's still the most customizable part of the platform. So it's definitely not going anywhere. I think overall in the future, though, I think there's going to be things that desktop won't be able to do just because of the platform. So some of the real-time collaboration things, that's not going to be quite the same. You already saw probably through some of the sessions that the way you have to synchronize data, even on the same report, isn't quite the same. So I think really it could split into two specializations. That desktop is that heavily customizable for the real seasoned inspector that really needs all the bells and whistles, really needs all of those, everything just the way that they want it. And then WebWriter is going to be the thing that's super fast, that has a lot of that intelligence built in. I think overall things are going to shift a bit more in terms of WebWriter. We are not getting rid of desktop, though. I want to repeat that loud and clear across the hills. Like, we've got Windows 11 support. We're going to continue to support it, though.
Great. Thanks, Mike. Paul, I think a lot of the questions people have for you as the GM of HomeGauge are probably fairly obvious, but I'm going to kind of summarize a couple of them for you. You've been here a few years now, post acquisition by AmFam. And there's always a lot talked about that in the industry, but internally, we've obviously felt an enormous amount of benefit from being part of AmFam. How would you describe the benefit now of HomeGauge for us and for the inspectors being a part of that family?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of benefit. First off, I think the easiest one to call out is the investment, right? We have I think we have close to 20 engineers, covering not only our existing platform, but our, all the new initiatives that we have that we want to work on. So we have, a much larger team than we did when Russell was owning it, because we can invest in the growth of this product. So I think, and we're going to continue to do that. There's a very vested interest on, in wanting this to be, the best platform out there, and we believe it is. I think there's a lot of reciprocal opportunity that's been untapped. I think when you start to think about kind of American Family and HomeGauge and the insurance industry, where are there kind of synergies, using that word, but and I do think there's a lot of value to both parties coming together in a better fashion, and we haven't really done that yet. And what I think is interesting, where it can get interesting, is there truly is an alignment with our interest, like HomeGauge, obviously inspectors, and even American Family, in that American Family's main goal is really to mitigate risk. They don't want things to happen, right? They want problems to not be happening, right? And so how do we do that better? How do we give access to information to home buyers, so that they know what are problems and what to fix, How do we give that information to inspectors in an environment that's beneficial and value added? So I know there was like, there's all these things on in American Family where they see all these problems. And so how do we, give back some of this information to our own industry and make it more powerful? I also see, American Family is a large company, and they have millions of customers as well, and they all have homes. So how do we create an environment where we can kind of, provide more demand to, or supply, I guess, to inspectors? How can we get more inspections funneling through our community? And, so I do see that as an opportunity for us as well, to name a few.
I think often I didn't know anything about how insurance companies worked until I joined here a few years ago. And it is really interesting. I think there's sometimes commentary of, well, insurance companies like to find every way they can to deny claims. I don't know about all insurance companies, and I'm no official spokesperson of AmFam. I'm just saying that in case HR are on. But I do know that, AmFam is a mutual, which makes them a little bit different from others. And they're not in the business of denying claims. They're in the business of paying out legitimate claims. If they can help the people they insure know what is most at risk, then they can offer smaller premiums and therefore pay out less money. I've actually made changes to my house because of what I've learned from AmFam. Like my tumble dryer religiously is cleaned out at least twice a year now, having read all of these reports about how many homes a tumble dryer burns down. It's pretty shocking. One thing you didn't touch on that I think is really nice, and real credit to AmFam actually, is during COVID, they gave us the funds in order to really give a lot of our inspectors a break on the finances of the software, and that was really nice for us to be able to pass on their behalf. Paul, I'm going to come back to you in a few minutes because a lot of the other questions kind of coming in for you are really about the future. I want to turn to our inspector guests here for a couple of minutes. And Alex, I see you joined us. He's on here as well. So Travis, Carlo, and Alex. I recently met at Internachi's House of Horrors here in Colorado, which for anybody who hasn't been, by the way, it's a pretty phenomenal experience. And Russell, when I saw Nick, he said he's going to beat you into building a pool. He touring around, we got to meet a dozen or so inspectors that day. And it was interesting to hear about how many of them came from the trades. And then on that particular occasion, what a high percentage of them also came from the military and crossed over. I think it'd be interesting, certainly for our newer inspectors on here, for you each to talk a little bit about kind of your background and how you got onto this. Travis, I know you touched on it kind of briefly in your talk, but for people who weren't on yours, do you want to kind of kick us off and just tell us how you get into this world?
Here we go, unmute. Yeah, I got started. It was more or less a family thing. Pretty much every family member and cousins is in a different construction trade. I got a brother-in-law that's a plumber. My dad was kind of, like I said, the local handyman. We lived in a town of 400 people. So he pretty much did everything. We did foundation work, roof work. We built decks, and I was just the little guy picking up scraps and just helping handing parts at first. At like 6 years old, it seemed like. So it was probably like 8 or 9, but I was pretty dang young, and I graduated into him teaching me how to do stuff. Eventually, I went out on my own. When I turned 16, I worked for a local plumbing company. I worked for them until I graduated college, and then like I said, I did go into electrical college, and I was a licensed electrician for 12 years. And then I think I said I've had multiple knee surgeries, and my electrical career went down the toilet. So when you can't hardly climb a ladder, now I'm feeling pretty good. But I think a lot of that is being a home inspector. It's not quite as hard as on my body as being an electrician was, because being an electrician, you're up and down a ladder about 50 times a day, at least.
It was funny when we met those people at House of Horrors, the two most common reasons people gave from the trades were their bodies were worn out, or they met so many awful inspectors, they decided to come one themselves because of being in the trades. They got sick of seeing bad inspectors. Carlo, what about you?
Home inspection.
Hey guys, how are you? Carlo Vitale here from New Jersey. So I have pretty much a similar background to what you have there. My family was also in the trades growing up, and I remember as far back as I can, picking up a hammer, starting to swing a hammer, and just getting into the building homes and every aspect of it, plumbing, electrical, roofing, siding, but we were mostly framing contractors. Growing up, going to school, I was always in the trades. But my father was owner of the company, and I saw him working in his body, and seeing that, knowing that that's not kind of what I wanted to be when I was 68, 69. He's still working, still doing that now. But I knew that I wanted to be with people a little bit more. I love talking to people, love meeting new people. So I ventured out to kind of see where I can do that. And it kind of landed me in the home inspection field, and meeting other home inspectors. We actually built a home for a home inspector, and that's what kind of got me really interested in it. And then it kind of just went from there and just kind of scaled up, and really enjoyed it, really enjoyed the aspect of being able to talk people through their house and telling them what's wrong, and key, not have to fix it. So that was fun. But it was just an amazing field to get into, to be able to educate homeowners and realtors and really let them walk into a house that they feel comfortable moving into. That's what really attracted me to it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm going to come back to you actually with a question on that in a moment.
Yeah.
Alex, so you came into this industry and ultimately decided to go down the path of creating a multi-inspector firm. What was the trigger point for you there?
Well, the trigger point when it comes to the multi-inspector firm, I'll give you a little bit of background. In the previous session was all about building websites with HomeGauge. So when I became a home inspector, we're always trying to fight for a kind of independence from pressure from realtors, because realtors send us so much business. Sometimes they feel like, okay, I'm giving you all this business. I feel that I can tell you, this is what a home inspection is, or, this doesn't really need to be said this way. So I was really looking for a way to do my job the way I need to do it comfortably. So I really ventured out to figure out how I could bring in customers independent from realtors, not having a brick and mortar store. How do I get the public to find me? So I knew that was going to be through the internet, and a strong ranking in Google searching or Bing, just an internet search, is how I decided I was going to do that. Now you can spend a lot of money in buying ads on Google. It's not worth it. So I invested, and I give credit to HomeGauge. I invested in the HomeGauge website. They've built 3 websites for me now, and I don't know if they have room in their SEO program, but if they don't, get on the wait list for it, because I've been in it for years now, and it has just progressively bumped me up to, I'm #1 in the search rankings in my area. And that helped me get more of a mixture of, okay, I have realtors that I want to work with that respect my profession. I'm going to work with those guys and take their clients. And I have 50% of my business coming from online. Now, that is also how I got to be a multi-inspector firm, is now the public isn't just finding me for home inspections. I started having people call me, like contractors or people from the trades that are looking to get into home inspections. They don't know how to start it. They don't know what to do. And they would find me online and ask me if I'm hiring. Of course, I'm never hiring, but then I would tell them, yes, I'm hiring. So they would come with me on home inspections, and I just, I'll give it a little bit to luck as well, that I had a couple good contractors that were retiring find me online that I brought with me, and showed them my system. And I'll give credit to HomeGauge again, that they made the onboarding process of bringing on a new home inspector pretty easy, especially with their scheduling, with me having control over the templates, being able to share my templates, being able to, transition my reports from my computer to their computer. and it just really snowballed from there. I'm in Florida, so I'm in a constant growth market, especially now. So I have benefited from that as well as becoming a multi-inspector firm, but I got to give credit where credit's due, and that's the HomeGauge website team and their SEO and building my online presence, and give credit to the software for allowing me to brand myself. Sure, my HomeGauge reports look similar to everybody else using HomeGauge, but I can brand it with my customization of my language and with some colors and font and narrative styles that, suit me, so that people know they're getting my home inspection report. So, as long as there's a strong market, people can find me. I've never really had to reach out to find a new home inspector. They've pretty much always come to me and found me. So it's been a good journey so far.
That's really interesting. I appreciate you sharing that. And we're not paying any of these panelists to be here, by the way. I very much appreciate the kind words, Alex, but I'd hate anyone to think we asked you to say any of that.
Yeah, nobody told me to say any of that, but I do respect the HomeGauge team and everything that they do for support, because it makes it easy to build a multi-inspector firm. So thank you.
Thank you, much appreciated. Carlo and Travis, I'm curious, so you became an inspector, you gave it a go. At what point was there some sort of moment when you sat there at the kitchen table and thought, yeah, I can make a living out of this. This is going to be all right. This is all going to work out okay.
Yeah. There was a point when I first started, and I said, all right, if I get 2 inspections a week, I'm going to be okay. Started going and started building, getting out there to some realtors, and he's right exactly. The SEO, I had HomeGauge build my website as well, and at that point when I realized if I get out there and do the right job, people are going to hire me. I talk them through their house, and they like what I'm saying, and I'm not killing the deal, right? But expressing the truth to them, they're going to hire me. I can make a living doing this. And just like you said, I built up a multi-inspector firm as well by just doing that, just walking contractors, showing them the ropes to do that, and showing them take their knowledge and being honest, and making people feel comfortable with their home. Anybody can make a living doing this if they're able to do that and learn that field. And but there was one sitting on my couch just talking to my wife and saying, I don't got to go swing this hammer anymore. I can do this. Couple inspections, 2, 3, 4, 5, led up to as many as we're doing now. And it's really awesome. And HomeGauge has made that unbelievable for the last 10 years. So nobody's paid me to say that too.
I know this is great. Travis, did you ever doubt it was going to work at the beginning?
I definitely did. I think I mentioned that earlier during my presentation. It came to the point where I ran out of vacation and sick days. I couldn't take any more days off, because I did try to just do it part-time to see if it was going to work at first, because me and my wife had just got married. We just had our first kid. So just like anybody starting a company, it's scary at first. So I just dipped my toes in the water. But within 6 months, I had ran out of sick days, and I was taking off like every Monday and Friday. So I knew that I could make it work. If during the slowest time of the year, I could get at least 4 a week, I knew that I could do it.
Yeah, that's really great. Watching the time go here, and obviously past, present, and future is the name of this panel. So I want to kind of chat about the future a little bit. Paul, I'm going to come to you first, then Mike to you. Paul, sitting there as the GM of HomeGauge, kind of guiding us forward. What does the future look for HomeGauge like? What's its position in the industry?
Well, I would say it's very bright, but
it would be a really shock announcement if you came on here and said, well, guys.
No, it's been great, honestly. I've been here almost 3 years now, gotten to really learn from Russell as well. So, it's been a pleasure working with him and having him, really be kind of, helping me, kind of just get into this industry. And so it's been a great group of people. We have, almost tripled our headcount in 3 years. We've grown by double-digit percentages pretty much every year since we've been here. It's been great. It's all certainly a testament to our industry and our customers too. So we absolutely have to give them the thanks for being truly amazing customers. But I do envision it getting better. We are investing in more products. The WebWriter, I mean, we just launched it this year. We're still in development on several things. It is a different niche right now. So it's a segment of customers that we believe will be, it attracts a certain set of customers that we think we haven't necessarily been that strong in. So I do see a really big opportunity for much faster growth in the years to come. Again, we're going to continue to invest in this product. I mean, I do believe, our goal is we are the best, and we will continue to be the best. Kind of going back to even my earlier points, there is like, what do we do with, this relationship that we have with our parent company, and how do we make this better? And again, we haven't really done a lot with it. It has been really hands off. And so I do like to see, like, when we have conversations internally, how can AmFam be a better company for the industry, and what does that look like? Because I do think there's really a lot of opportunity there to give back, and AmFam's been a really good brand too. They are a great company. They are a very family-centric company, and it's been it's been a good relationship between us and them, and it's hopefully translating into returns for our customers, because through added investment.
We actually have some attendees in the chat and on the QA saying they actually switched to HomeGauge because we were owned by AmFam, and they'd had such great experiences with AmFam as their insurer. Mike, before I come to you, Russell, when you were doing this at the beginning, you had so many firsts. Definitely the first to have a printer balanced on the towel in the back of a truck. I didn't know that one. First with 360 images, etc. Is there some view that you have as you look forward where you think this kind of industry is heading that excites you to think about?
Well, I mean, don't get me started on the first things that we've done. We were the first HTML, the first to upload, the first to have video in the report, expanding pictures. Okay, I'll stop for now, but I used to love those debates of way back when we'd have chat rooms before the internet was so popular with social groups. But so to me, and I keep searching and thinking, and I think the industry is moving towards being able to understand the home better, and being able to I think the home inspector is way more than what he is right now, or she. And I think that there is a ongoing relationship that can be developed. I know right now home inspectors, I think there's going to be a mental adjustment to where, so many successful home inspectors are so successful. They're like, oh, well, I just can only do the inspection and go. But I mean, that buyer becomes a homeowner, and then they try to engage contractors and get screwed a lot. They don't understand when they need to fix something, why they need to fix it, or which one first. The home inspector, while he's there, he's really good, but when he's gone, that's about it. And then they can go back to the report, but they need it would be great. There's a whole nother business, a whole nother industry, and the inspection company the inspector that's listening right now could become in a relationship with each homeowner for long term, and that house would be essentially his. And we've everybody's always talked about an annual inspection, but I'm talking about more than that, being able to understand the home and everything about the home. And so I've had plenty of talks with Paul. Paul's got his own ideas, obviously too, and I think even people listening can understand, we've thought about that. Everybody has. And if anybody's going to be able to make that connection and create a long-term relationship, with the buyer would be inspectors that use HomeGauge. So I think great things are coming.
That's really interesting. I'm going to keep it rolling because of time. Mike Rogers, I'm going to come to you with a kind of a tactical question. So think about the future then. Let's think about what does the future specifically look like when we think about HomeGauge 1?
Yeah, so HomeGauge 1, I think we've already got the best desktop installed solution. It's been the market leader for a long time, and it's going to continue to be the market leader. WebWriter is already the fastest. It's the most efficient solution. Some of the things we've got in the pipeline, I think, are going to blow folks away. We're not going to get in small feature wars. We're really looking at what are the big problems that we can solve for folks. Some of it's software, some of it's not. So some of it's how do we support inspectors? How do we actually give back business to inspectors when they're struggling? How do we make sure folks stay in the industry? It's not just about selling software, it's about how do we support folks. Then it's how do we support them doing their job? So we're already looking at using AI and some rich data so we can identify things in inspections, identify materials, help you identify problems without even that you might have missed. Some of those things, really smart, really intelligent things that I don't think anyone's going in that direction. A lot of folks seem mired in like individual feature wars. We're really looking at the inspection saying like, how do we keep you in business? How do we give you things that truly support you in doing your job better?
Very good. Back to Travis, Carlo, and Alex. You know, we don't need to dwell on the impact of COVID, but what I am curious about is lots of new habits and behaviors came about during COVID. We were getting some amazing videos photos from inspectors who were doing all sorts of things. One inspector decided to stand outside the property and try and fly a drone throughout the entire home and in every room and like do a 360 video and everything. I don't know if people's flying skills are going to get up to that as a standard thing, or even errors and omissions insurance for that matter. But, you know, are the things that came in during COVID, new habits, new things, new tools, anything that you either would like to see stick around or you think are just here to stay now? Maybe not. Maybe handshaking changing to more elbow bumping is the one, and more hand washing maybe.
It's probably very location specific. So I know in Florida, I will tell you 85% of our customers don't show up for the home inspection, and at least 65% of the homes are vacant. So we haven't seen that big of an impact when it comes to COVID. Of course, we do have some home buyers that, you know, they would like you to have, you know, sanitize your hands or wear a mask during the inspection, even if it's vacant and nobody's there. But we haven't had that big of an impact in my area in Florida. So not much change here.
So for us guys, you know, you have 85%, almost all of ours come. Which is great, you know, it's we educate them and it's fine, but we have to implement a lot of that too, you know, hand washing and throughout the whole thing, cleaning all the doorknobs. But the one thing that we were doing a lot of was FaceTime. You know, we were doing a ton of FaceTime throughout the inspections with clients that weren't coming because we weren't allowing anybody to come to the inspection, buyers. And we're still doing that to this day. We're still getting people calling us, hey, during you know, the high time of COVID, you would do, we bought a couple houses and you did FaceTime with us. Can we do that again? They loved it. They loved the interaction with the FaceTime. They could sit on their couch and watch us go through the entire inspection. So where's that going? Maybe virtual reality one day, you know. But you know, so I think I would like that to stick around a little bit because, you know, if they can't come, at least there's a different opportunity for them to see us walking through and be there with us.
And going back to Russell with first to video in the HomeGauge software, you know, picture says 1,000 words. What does a video say? So just don't say anything stupid on the video. And, you know, the HomeGauge, the tool, and again, benefits us as home inspectors. So
yeah.
So I will mirror that. one thing we're seeing across the board is the demand for multimedia is growing. Like this, that's one of the things that's going to stick with COVID. I'm also seeing it on a broader scale. You guys are getting squeezed a lot more for that. It's that instant gratification. It's getting the inspection quicker as well. So they want to be more involved and they want it sooner. It used to be you could differentiate yourself with, hey, we'll give you the inspection in 24 hours. I'm hearing folks committing to like, no, as a business, we turn it around like 3 hours, 2 hours, things like that. It's things are getting quicker and they're demanding more multimedia.
Yeah, very good. We are at time. This has been great. This has flown by. To Alex, Carlo, Travis in particular, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for your sessions that you did earlier in the day. Paul, Mike, thank you very much. Russell, always a pleasure, man. There's been a few nice notes come in for you. Scott Baker in particular wants to know when you two are going fishing, but I'll screenshot the other messages that came in for Russell and we'll make sure they get over to him.